And a racist one at that. I can't wait to hear another hour of that. Sounds pretty fucking insane.
While that term is often used as a pejorative, conspiracies do happen, and not all theories are equal. So how plausible is this one really?
Yeah, dude. I've heard this from racist people about Derek Chauvin too. That like Derek Chauvin should have gotten away with it, but the only reason why he didn't is because like we had to give black people something as like a sacrificial lamb. Like that's what fucking racist people literally say. I mean, Fox News. Fox News said that. Fox News unironically said that on their national broadcast, so.
Back home, my friends and family.
I think he's gonna disprove that. Like he's gonna. There's no shot he lets it go, and I think he's way too.
Was born on the 10th of December, 1986, to parents Eric and Kumiko Holt.
This dude is way too fucking woke to like let a conspiracy like that linger on.
He was the baby of the family, coming after his two siblings, Julie and Jennifer. And fortunately, his sisters were just as smitten with him as his parents. With an obvious athletic bend from day one, Daniel quickly rose to prominence as the star linebacker for the Enid High School football team.
I'm the king of Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
And the folks in Tulsa.
Oh yeah, he did that. The jury also convicted Derek Chauvin because they were scared of the BLM riots.
Setting a school record for 25 tackles.
Which, by the way, it's incredibly racist, but also at the same time, doesn't that make you feel a little good? That like, although it's not real, that you think racist white people are like racist white people are just like a little bit worried about like people retaliating to that degree. Not at all. What the fuck? I mean, I've said it before, but it's like, I mean, the protests being seen as like protests being seen as like a scary thing. And this is really interesting because like a lot of people are conflicted on this. I said this before and some people got mad in the past as well. But that's democracy. Like you're being afraid of the rule of the majority in this circumstance. Especially because only the fucking most racist people believe that. Will maybe push them to not be as racist. That's how I feel about it. But maybe I'm wrong because I have heard some people say no. Why would I be glad that some people are afraid that some people would receive justice? No, 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 no. You misunderstood, my friend. Don't be racist because black people are violent is still a take based on racism. You feel me? You're misunderstanding me. I think that part of me knows that there are people who are impossible to change their minds on. Like they're just fucking so certain about their racism. And those people fearing the crowd, low key makes me feel a little bit better. I know that many of you think that that's not appropriate because you want them to see the crowd as a group of people that have a righteous cause. You know what I mean? a group of people with a righteous cause that are, that are doing something that's honorable. These people are never going to see black people in that way. Anyway, results. People results. It's like with Dream, it doesn't matter what he really thinks. What? Anyway, it is top of the hour, so I will hit you with a 60-second ad break. I'm not gonna fucking do any fun transitions for you because I don't feel like it. So here's a 6-second ad break. If you'd like to no longer see the ads, you can subscribe. You can subscribe for free or with a $5 subscription. You can subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime. Sorry. Here's the ad break now. Being scared of protest isn't that bad. However, being scared at the top of the hour is very reasonable. Thank you. I agree.
Tackles in a game. And while the profile of popular high school football star with a specialty in tackling might conjure up images of a bully jock in some people's minds, Daniel Holtzclaw did not fit into the mould of a gridiron meathead. Marked by a reserved and considerate demeanour, no one ever really had a bad word to say about him. We can say that with confidence because later in life, professionals would comb through his past trying very hard to find people who did. They came out completely empty-handed. His athletic ability was of such a high pedigree, it earned him a scholarship at Eastern Michigan University, where he graduated with a degree in criminal justice. Holtzclaw had aspirations to go pro in football, but unfortunately he didn't make the cut for the NFL draft. Knockbacks like that can be devastating, and when a person's life dream is put to an end in such a decisive way, it's not all too uncommon for them to go into a deep depression or even lash out against others. But again,
Which is why he became a cop.
and Daniel Holtzclaw defied stereotypes. In about as much time as it takes to brush a little dirt off one's shoulder, he resolved to move on to what was next and followed in his father's footsteps, becoming a police officer. Patrolling for the Spring Lake division of the Oklahoma City Police Department, he found a lot to relish in the job. From chase downs that brought back feelings of being on the football field, to the day-to-day routine of helping out his fellow citizens. At the age of 27, he'd already had more ups and downs than some people will see in a lifetime. And while the lost dreams of fame and fortune that come with being a pro football player still hurt sometimes.
Parents are white libertarian with Asian wife too. Oh, dude. Yeah. This is the outcome of libertarian with Asian wives Facebook group. Daniel Holtzclaw. Also libertarian cop, by the way.
Ultimately, Daniel Holtzclaw felt that he had made good. Until that one June afternoon when he walked in to begin his late night shift, and his entire life, as he knew it, began to unravel.
A month or two and none of this will matter very much.
Given the onslaught of abject horror you've been subjected to earlier, it would be understandable if you found the fawning introduction of this video's second half to be in very poor taste. But there was a reason for it beyond serving as a tonal shift. Although it's not unheard of for someone who was previously seen as a pillar of the community to be revealed as a sexual deviant or even a serial killer. Typically in those sorts of cases, previous red flags or troubling incidents that were observed by those around them will come to light after the fact. For a serial rapist and extreme sexual sadist to have absolutely zero instances of transgressions or questionable behaviour noted by ex-girlfriends or their peers is...
That's weird.
Well, it is certainly atypical. That's not to say it's impossible, but it is unusual and...
I mean, there's a permanent fucking vibe check that you can always go back to, which is that he has a Charlie Kirk style incredibly tiny face. And when one has such an incredibly tiny face, you just have to always remember, like, am I dealing with a Charlie Kirk style person? And that's unfortunately a permanent vibe check failure.
enough that it should give you serious pause before concluding their guilt.
I did not say, notice how I did not say tiny head. I have a perfectly proportional face to head ratio, despite the fact that my head looks much, much smaller with respect to my shoulder width because I have gigantic shoulders.
Absent categorical proof they're the culprit of the deeds in question, which leads us to a much less speculative point that's key to the proposition of Daniel Holtzclaw's innocence. Detectives Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory were convinced of Daniel Holtzclaw's guilt from the outset. This is not so much an allegation as it is a matter of public record.
Before we started the interview, I felt like that what Janie told me was the truth, yes. It was my main focus. I was going to put him in prison.
The extent of their bias is illustrated all the more vividly when observing how they responded to holes in their model. After deciding that Holtzclaw was guilty of what Janie Liggins alleged, and was also the officer responsible for the rape of Terry Morris, they came to the understandable conclusion that there were likely more unreported cases out there. They also concluded that if Daniel Holtzclaw was a serial rapist, then he would almost certainly have some skeletons in the closet of his personal history. Also an understandable conclusion, because, as has just been noted, the vast majority of the time, a person with this sort of profile would indeed have some sinister actions in their past. Sinister actions that, even if well concealed, would be unearthed after some serious digging. And so seriously dig they did. They interviewed multiple people associated with Holtzclaw, both inside and outside of his police work, and after none of them were able to cast aspersions on his character, they moved on to the town of Ypsilanti, Michigan, where Holtzclaw had gone to university. Again, not a negative word was to be found pertaining to Daniel Holtzclaw. Leaving no stone unturned, they...
Okay, that in and of itself is like a red flag, dude. What the fuck? You couldn't find one person who hates the guy? That's kind of weird. Also, I totally see why there's like a big community of like justice advocates for Daniel Holtzclaw. Like, good background, good looking guy who like played football and shit, cop family, but most importantly, the detective. The victims are who they are, as you know. But most importantly, the detective is a woman. So like, you can tell incels probably ate this shit up. You know what I mean?
They then journeyed to Enid, Oklahoma, tracing the investigation of Holtzclaw's propensity for sexual assault all the way back to high school. Just as before, they found no romantic partner who could recall any sort of wrongdoing, or even an associate who could remember witnessing something untoward. And after finding absolutely nothing in Daniel Holtzclaw's past that fit with the profile they'd created based off of his alleged actions, at not one moment did they reconsider the pursuit of him as Oklahoma City's most prolific serial rapist. Of course, you might forgive this bias in light of how vindicated...
You saying he's good looking is prove it straight. Why? He's like jacked as fuck.
Their theory wound up being later on. After all, as we've seen, they did indeed find multiple women Holtzclaw was confirmed as having come into contact with while on duty who all had strikingly similar accounts of being sexually assaulted by a police officer. And that's quite...
I mean, he's a bit of a butterface, for sure. Jacked equaled hot? Oh, no. I don't know. I mean... Listen, when I see like a dude with a lot of muscles, I know the amount of work that goes into it, okay? So I see nothing else but dedication. Obviously, in this instance, I see a rapist, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're looking at
numerous reports detailing the same MO are indeed very damning in a case like this, but much less so if those similarities and even the initial accusations themselves are prompted, something that will become a recurring theme on this side of the video. The integrity of corresponding accounts is further compromised if the nature of the alleged crime, the MO of the suspect, and or the suspect's identity is publicly known. This poisons the well, as any potential complainant who's contacted or comes forward may be privy to information that will make their story more credible.
We begin tonight with some shocking allegations against an Oklahoma City police officer.
A woman says she was pulled over, frisked, and forced to perform oral sex during a traffic stop. She talked exclusively with Newsline crime tracker Adriana Ivashinsky, who joins us with the story now live. Adriana?
Kelly, Oklahoma City police confirmed they are investigating this claim and that an officer has been placed on administrative leave, but they are not releasing his name at this time. But this woman tells me she's just glad he's off the streets. This woman agreed to talk with me as long as we protected her identity. She says she was driving home from a friend's house last Thursday around 2 a.m. when she was pulled over.
And as I passed 50 and Lincoln, the lights changed. That's when he put his lights on. I say, what did I do?
The 57-year-old grandmother of 12 says she pulled over to the nearest side street right by these buildings. She says that officer told her to get out of her car and then frisked her. And there were security cameras all around.
So he patted me down. He didn't find anything.
She tells me the officer then told her to undress.
So I raised up my blouse. He wanted me to raise up my bra. I did all that. He took his flashlight and shined it on my chest.
She says he then forced her to perform oral sex while she was sitting in his squad car.
I said, oh, no, sir. I said, you ain't supposed to do this. I said, you ain't supposed to do this to me, sir.
This grandmother says a car even passed them during the incident.
He said, hurry up. He's like, got off of duty. He said, I don't have all night.
She says the entire time she feared for her life.
I said, sir, no, I can't do this. He said, come on, just a minute, just a minute. I said, sir, I can't do this. I said, you're going to shoot me. You're going to shoot me.
I'm glad that they really hid her identity by, I guess, not giving her immediate address. Like, what the fuck, dude? They didn't even, like, distort her voice or anything.
Officer Daniel Holtzclaw is in custody tonight with several women coming forward claiming to be his victims. KOCO's Bree Steffen has the latest tonight on the case. She's live at the Oklahoma County Jail. Bree?
Well, this was a very difficult announcement for the Oklahoma City Police to make, many of them taking it very personally. That officer was booked into jail earlier today for allegedly sexually abusing several women throughout the past couple of months while he was on duty. He's off the streets tonight, but investigators are worried there could still be more victims out there. This Oklahoma City police officer accused of violent crimes. Daniel Holtzclaw has been on administrative leave since June, when a woman accused him of sexually assaulting her during a traffic stop. Now, rape, sodomy, and sexual battery are just a few of the complaints against him. The Sex Crimes Unit uncovered 6 other women who also claim to have been abused by Holtzclaw.
Traffic stops, some of the individuals were actually just walking, say walking in the neighborhood, and they were stopped, searched, threatened in some way. With arrest or something to that extent, and as a result of that, coerced them into providing sexual favors to him.
While all of the charges will be examined, not all of them can be given equal time, and so to illustrate the flaws and bias involved with this investigation, and lay some of the foundation for your reassessment of Daniel Holtzclaw's guilt, it's important to revisit the case of Terry Morris, whose allegation, you'll recall, predates the Liggins traffic stop and the resulting investigation into media attention. Her case was assigned to Rocky Gregory on May 27th, still several weeks before he'd be pursuing Holtzclaw as her assailant. Gregory actually had quite a lot of difficulty even finding Morris for her version of events, as she had been wayward on the streets since the night she initially reported being raped by an officer, and none of her acquaintances knew where to find her. However, on June 3rd, Gregory is informed that Morris has been detained at Northeast 26th and Urban League Court, and he finally gets the chance to interview her. She was very unhappy with the circumstances surrounding the interview, and seemed to have lost interest in pursuing her assailant.
You know I gotta encourage you to go through and talk to me. Okay. I can't have this guy running around Oklahoma City.
But somebody else can do it. I don't want to. I just want to leave it alone. I want to try it.
Let me ask you this: do you have children? You do, or you very close to your children? Are they going? Are they going with you?
I don't want to. I just want to sign the paper, please, please, please.
Give me 2 more minutes, and I'll fill it up as I talk. Okay, I'll fill it out as I talk.
Jeez.
Oh, I thought you were at a rehab here.
I was after I came from Woodward.
Okay, so you went.
Woodward is a mental health.
Okay, and then you went where?
I was at the City Rescue Mission. I was in the BTL.
Did you?
Faith-based drug program.
Where's that at?
Downtown. Right down here somewhere. So bad.
What's the name of it?
City Rescue Mission.
But you said that there was a faith.
BTL.
BTL? From what I understood, you left a rehab.
I don't. Please. Oh God. Jesus.
Well, you gotta understand. You can't blame me for trying. You know, that's your mental health. What you been diagnosed?
Paranoid schizophrenic with depressive features.
Schizophrenic.
Post-traumatic disorder.
With what kind of features?
Depressive.
I gotta find a date. I gotta put a date down.
For what?
For whatever had happened.
Well, I don't know. It happened sometime last month. That's all I remember.
Last month in May?
Yeah.
This is really fucked up. So I'm going to issue another verbal trigger warning that, like, I assume most of the fucking testimony will be, like, belittled by, or seemingly belittled by having some, like, really ableist takes, some really fucking racist takes. I'm just letting you guys know that, like, it feels as though the reason why they say that these, like, testimonies are not credible is because, you know, this person has, like, a mental health complication, you know, that sort of thing, and addicted to drugs.
Yeah, it was last month about, I don't know, first, second, third week, something, I don't know.
Okay. Do you know, this says location of offense.
It was in downtown, I don't know, downtown, somewhere down here.
So I
don't know, dog. I don't know because I'm not from downtown. I'm from the northeast area, so I don't know. It didn't seem that far away from the city rescue mission. I don't know. I was coming back from the east side and taking care of my business. I don't know because, yeah, I don't know. I don't know my directions. Like, I just don't know. Wasn't really sure I was not far from the city rescue mission. He said that.
I gotta have you sign this, okay? But you gotta put it like an actual reason. Is there anything I can say to persuade you to change your mind? What if you needed more time?
No, I just want to get it because I'm leaving it. That's why he's coming to get me at the end of the night because I'm having a hard
The cop is.
You know, I wish you would talk with me. Yeah. I mean, I'm still gonna.
I wonder why it's a little bit hard for her to fucking, I don't know, give a accurate testimony about all the events that transpired. One, you know, it's clearly a traumatic situation. Two, she already has, like, some mental health problems. And lastly, like, one thing is, like, asking someone to relive the trauma for the sake of evidence. The other is she's being asked to relive the trauma by a fucking cop. Like, by a male cop. In the same outfit. Like, holy fuck, dude. You guys didn't think that you should, like, bring, I don't know, like, either a female investigator that wasn't, you know, was in plain clothes or some shit? Like, why the fuck would you get credible testimony out of a person? Oh, no, a cop, the horror? Oh, no, a white male cop? Dude, are you fucking stupid? Like, this is literally a rape case. Maybe one day that same thing will happen to you by a white male cop, so only then will you understand it, okay? It's not a big deal, right? So it shouldn't be an issue if it happens to you, right? Dumbass. Jesus Christ, dude.
I give you my phone number because I hope you do, because I don't want this guy on my police department.
Me, I don't want him near me.
Terry, is there anything you'd like to tell me? Anything that I should know? I can't tell you. I want to beg you to give me information.
He's literally treating her like she's a suspect, dude. It's so bad. I know motherfuckers in the chat who are dense are literally going to be like, oh, I don't understand. Oh, I understand. He's just trying to get testimony. It's like, no. Like there is a proper way to deal with this situation. No, the way he's pushing her, he needs to have baby gloves on, dude. He needs to have baby gloves on, and he needs to not be the one doing this regardless. You're never going to get good, credible information out of a person who's already like super fucking traumatized by... He's not helping, okay? He might have the best intentions at heart, but he is not fucking helping, dude. That's crazy. If she was a white girl from a middle-class family, you think this cop would be able to fucking question her like this? A white girl from a middle-class family who was raped? No fucking shot. Actually, probably yes. I take it back, because he's just a fucking ape. So probably yes. But again, still, like... He's literally fucking questioning her aggressively. Yeah, he's a cop and these are rape victims. I don't think they're known for being super careful with that, but...
I know, I was in person.
The only thing that can really be ascertained from Gregory's first interview with Morris is that she is adamant the incident occurred downtown, and probably near the city rescue mission. Even the date is very foggy. Just under a fortnight after Morris's first fruitless interview, Detective Gregory now has...
For the record, I will point this out one last time before people fucking yell at me, but like, it's not even entirely the cop's fault. He's just trying to make the best of the situation. He's trying to do the most with what is given to him, with the amount of training that he has, with his understanding of the situation. Whereas like in a normal circumstance like that, you definitely should be talking with a social worker rather than like a cop like that who clearly is ill-equipped to deal with getting testimony from a rape victim.
Has a prime suspect in Daniel Holtzclaw and sought out Morris again to see if she would help pin him as the culprit. He was able to get a photo lineup in front of her on June 24th, but she was unable to positively identify Holtzclaw, saying she wasn't sure, and he ran into another problem concerning the date.
So you're not for sure on the time? Now before you thought it was at the end of May 20th, 21st, is that still?
Yeah.
That still sounds right? Like just a couple of days before you talk with the officers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you interested in going forward with this?
Mm-hmm.
As noted during Holtzclaw's interrogation, his GPS data did have him downtown on the 20th, but this was only for a brief period when he was making a county jail arrest. His patrol car never made peculiar stops in the downtown area after that, making his rape of Morris near the city rescue mission on that date logistically impossible. In fact...
See, that's what I'm saying, like, there's no way that testimony was going to be solid. She can't even fucking recall the dates. She has no fucking clue. She's like she's barely keeping it together. No shot was that going to be like of an accurate or solid fucking testimony. So there was another cop? No, I don't think she got the dates right. Do you understand? Why isn't she able to recall the date? Because she has like a litany of mental health complications, is also like, has addiction problems. Like, there's no way she's like undergoing PTSD. She's homeless, undergoing PTSD, and was like raped. I don't even know if she's like, I'm trying to be as polite as possible in the way that I'm like, describing the circumstance with her, but like, I don't think the cops did it on purpose. I'm not saying the cops played her. I'm stating that like, they didn't. I think the cops wanted to bust Daniel Holtzclaw, first of all, but I don't think they went about it in the right way, partially because they just don't know any better.
It was logistically impossible for Holtzclaw to have raped Morris in that area on any date, as his GPS data never showed any kind of stop in downtown that could fit with that scenario. He had recently run Morris through the Varuna database though, on May 8th, nearly 2 weeks prior to the date of the incident.
Yeah, so, you know, think about that.
And Holtzclaw's encounter with Morris took place at Liberty Station Apartments, about 4 miles from the city rescue mission. It was also an encounter Holtzclaw did not make any attempt to hide, as he called Morris in at the time.
Want to run LSCL, last name is Morris, Mary, Ocean, Robert, Ida, Sam, first name is Terry, Tom, Edward, Robert, Ida, Deborah, 63, Barfield.
From the perspective of wanting to strengthen the case against Holtzclaw, Gregory's second interview with Morris was a disaster, but still he was not deterred. On July 10th, he interviewed Morris for a third time, and now the circumstances were a little different. Morris was in Oklahoma County Jail for a drug charge and eager to transfer to rehab. During that interview, she changed the location to Liberty Station Apartments. She never explicitly revised the date, but because May 8th was the day Holtzclaw stopped her, that was just taken as a given. In addition to all of this, there happens to be an alternative suspect for the Morris accusation, who seems to tick more boxes.
There was literally DNA on this pants? Yeah, we're talking about 13 victims though. That's only one of the 13, and this is one of them that does not have DNA evidence. So I think that's why he's going through each individual case that was like faulty testimony. Which this is something that a prosecutor, well, not a prosecutor, a defense attorney would shred through, absolutely shred through.
Than Holtzclaw does. An officer by the name...
That's like a gigantic investigative fuck up, dude.
Name of Jeff Sellers was the only other OCPD personnel to have recently run a records check on Morris. This was a bit earlier, on April 11th, so it wouldn't have been on the night of the alleged assault either, but could fit the same MO the OCPD was positing, of a predator who profiled victims in advance. Sellers had been previously fired by the OCPD for having sex with prostitutes in his patrol car while on duty, later being reinstated after winning an arbitration decision. He was not included in the photo lineup shown to Morris, and he was never treated as a suspect by Detective Rocky Gregory. If all of this is beginning to make you dubious toward the validity of these particular accusations, then you're in the same company as the jury. Daniel Holtzclaw was found not guilty of all charges pertaining to Terry Morris.
See? I told you, there's no shot you could fucking get him guilty on that. No, that's just one of 13, chat. Calm down. Chat! You, don't understand how this fucking process works.
With plenty of fires left to put out, and having not yet addressed any of the charges that account for Holtzclaw's 200...
You can't fucking... Guys, I still think he's a fucking rapist, okay? We already know he went to prison for 263 years at this point in the story. This is one of 13 counts. Okay? It's not a spoiler. We already saw that part of the video.
You wouldn't be thinking critically if you weren't still somewhat skeptical of his total innocence. But if the preview of how this investigation was conducted, and the demonstration of how some of the elements of this case that appear the worst on a surface level can actually be the least damning upon closer inspection, has been enough to sow some seeds of doubt in your mind, then it's about time to return to the interrogation.
Agree?
Agree.
Sign, print.
Damn, bro. You guys are, I think some of you behave purposely obtuse in instances like this. Okay? This doesn't mean he's innocent. This just means that on that circumstance, on that investigation, sloppy police work showed that he wasn't guilty beyond a reasonable doubt for that specific case. Okay? That's it. If someone gives a testimony, and that's not that person was clearly traumatized, okay? That was a horrible testimony, horrible testimony. And then also on top of that, she then changes the testimony to fit the actual date. No way.
That's too funny. I haven't met anybody else that writes left-handed. it kind of creates a problem when you're on a traffic stop, doesn't it? Because you're writing and holding your ticket book in this hand and your gun hand doesn't bother you? Well, that's because you're huge. What's your commission number?
1782.
I masturbate, right? And does that work?
Yes, you heard that correctly. Detective Rocky Gregory has just used his first words in the room to announce he's an ambidextrous masturbator. One noteworthy feature of this interrogation that was largely scrubbed the first time round is both Davis and Gregory's frequent and deliberate use of crude language around sexual topics. One explanation for this is that they're trying to establish a cavalier attitude toward the sorts of acts they're trying to move Holtzclaw toward a confession on. The less he thinks they take this sort of thing seriously, the more he'll be willing to disclose. Another explanation that's been posited by Brian Bates, a member of Holtzclaw's trial defense team and the owner of the website that's watermarked at the bottom right corner of the screen, is that this was a misguided attempt at rapport building. The idea being that because detectives knew Holtzclaw was a high school football star, he would probably respond well to jocular locker room language. Both of these explanations make enough sense. What doesn't make any sense in either case, though, is that after it becomes immediately apparent that Holtzclaw is visibly uncomfortable, and therefore this approach is going to have the opposite effect of causing him to open up or relate, they continually persist with the strategy. It's genuinely bizarre to watch.
I think I do that left-handed.
Very good.
Well, I am dominant.
You are?
Yes.
And there's nothing.
Did she lift it up like this?
No.
Okay. So she never, like, went, whoo, nothing,
No.
exposed her breasts or anything like that?
She asked me if I was like, no, it's okay.
She asked you?
If you want to search me, I'm like, no, it's okay.
So she never, like, put her hands on the car and you...
No.
Okay. Okay. She's saying that you made her lift up her shirt, and when she lifted up her shirt, she exposed her breasts.
No.
The following portion of the interrogation, and others like it, are very polarizing. Some find Holtzclaw to be underreacting to what he's being accused of, and think his body language and wonder.
You know what I'm gonna say? Like, vibe checked, and these cops are going to jail. Okay, all three of these cops are going to jail. That's a failure. It's a vibe check failure. Hardcore. Can't be doing that. Jail time.
Wondering eye contact is suspicious. Others say that his concise and firm but calm denials are congruous with innocence, and that any outward signs of nervousness are to be expected given the situation he's in. See what you think.
No.
Did you ever see
I asked her, is there anything inside your bra? And she said no. So I was like, okay. And she said, you want me to show you? And that's all the time I said, no. No, you don't need to do that.
She said she said she was doing this. When you said, is there anything inside your bra? And she was, well, no, I don't have anything like that. Did she do that?
Yeah, she did, but I didn't look or anything like that.
Right.
And then she was like, do you want me to show you? I was like, no.
She said when she said, do you want me to show you? You said, yeah, and she went,
woo. No, I didn't.
But could she have been, woo, flashing you? And now you don't want to tell me because you're afraid you're going to get in trouble?
No, when I told her no, I said no.
Then she didn't go, yeah,
No.
you know, because sometimes drunk girls are,
having a good time.
yeah, and partying down. And let's face it,
I've already heard stories about officers
people
and
want,
whatnot.
they
so
want
I don't
officers for
I didn't want-
hubbies
so
or
I said
whatever.
no. I said no.
But you could have said no. But I'm asking you if she flashed you anyways.
I didn't see her. I didn't see her
no
breasts.
boobies?
I didn't see her breasts.
Okay. What about?
Okay, I know I said this already. I know I said this earlier when we first saw his testimony, but his fucking testimony, if he wasn't a cop, and if they didn't have the physical evidence of like the 17-year-old's like stain on his pants, his testimony here, like this interrogation, literally makes him look not bad at all. Like, I'm not a fucking behavioral scientist, and a lot of that is pseudoscience anyway, pseudoscientific garbage at all anyway. But like, the way that he is reacting actually is not like a person who's guilty. Either he's like super sociopathic, like really, really good at lying, like insanely good at lying, which could be the case, is he is a cop. It wasn't a stain on his pants, it was skin cells. Okay, sorry. Skin cells. It's not even, what do you mean he's so passive? If he's innocent, he would be aggressive in repelling such accusations? No, he is. He is repelling accusations aggressively and then dialing it back. Do you not see him?
Pants.
Said
Nothing
no.
in her pants as far as I can see. She was wearing tight jeans. So
She said she pulled them down.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see her pull them down?
I didn't see her pulling down pants.
Could she have done it when you were up searching the car?
She could have. I didn't
Did
have
she
her.
have them on?
I didn't have her handcuffed or anything.
When you came back to the car and got her out, were her pants fastened? Were they?
Yeah, everything.
They
was
were
still,
up and.
everything was still intact.
So you never saw her pull her pants down?
No, I didn't.
Why do you think she's making this up?
I don't know.
Well, Daniel, this is kind of one of the things that we kind of bring it in here to see how truthful you are.
Right.
Now you need to kind of think of a few different things here.
Okay.
Okay. We pulled up a lot of video around that area after these allegations.
Okay.
Okay. She also had a SANE exam, which you know what that consists of.
Right.
There's a reason why we wanted your buckles.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I mean, we can go through a couple different things of why we've got you in here, but you sure there's nothing you want to?
Nothing.
So if we go off the video and watch that,
right,
you're still going to stick with your story?
Yes, sir.
If we go off DNA?
DNA as well.
Should we show you the video?
If yes.
You do want to see it?
Yes.
So there's nothing that...
Everything that I recall of that night is what was asked and everything. That's what happened.
Are we going to get something from the SANE exam?
Go with the SANE exam.
Do you understand that you don't have to full-blown ejaculate to get something out of the SANE exam?
Right.
We can get skin cells, we can get pre-ejaculate, we can do all that and still get DNA.
Right.
All of this is true, which makes the fact that Liggins' SANE exam came back negative all the more significant. Bear in mind, her buccal swabs were taken within a few hours of the alleged assault, yet still no biological material from Holtzclaw was found in her mouth. Just as with Holtzclaw having no prior history, this does not make her version of events impossible, but it should certainly have inspired more skepticism in the investigators, i.e.
For the record, like a 57-year-old grandma of 12 isn't gonna like randomly fucking make up a story about how she was raped when like he is in a significantly more suspicious situation, turning off his fucking GPS, letting her go after she was quote unquote drunk, right? So like, so all of those other pieces of evidence directly point to him being guilty as fuck. You know what I mean? The multiple allegations come after. I'm talking about in this situation right now. It's just like his testimony here makes him look I can see why people were like, it just makes it look weird. He doesn't look like super suspicious. He's not doing like shit that very suspicious people would do here.
Any at all, then it did.
And did your penis go in her mouth?
No, it did not.
Okay. Because DNA will clear it up.
You got any identifying marks around your penis? Or?
I don't.
Just a plain old penis, huh?
Plain old penis.
Plain old 14.
Like he okay, you're gonna get mad probably, but oh my god, plain old 14-incher, what the fuck? Dude, he's like uncomfortable by what the cops are saying to him about like sexual stuff.
I don't say about that, but
see, you should have. You just had your opportunity.
How often do you have sex?
About once a day, if that.
You guys have sex once a day?
Yeah.
How old are you?
27.
Well, yeah.
How much you jerk off?
Maybe once a day.
Yo, dude. Okay. I'm saying it again, dude. These cops, jail. Literally. These detectives, jail time, dude. That is a biblical vibe check, dude. That's a biblical vibe check failure, okay? Prison time for all of them. What the fuck?
So you have sex once a day and masturbate once a day.
Yeah.
What'd you do when you got shot down at home today? Usually you got to relieve that.
Right. That's
I know.
that was before work. That happened before work.
You said you picked her up around 50th and Lincoln. I mean, when you saw her swerve,
right.
Did you at any time, were you always behind her, or did you pull up beside her to maybe see who was?
Is this some blue collar talk, job talk here? I'll tell you what. Yeah, dude. I love being blue collar and sexually harassed by my colleagues all the time, dude. It's actually blue collar as fuck to like have the most uncomfortable conversations about your penis size with your coworkers that like you're clearly not that fucking tight with. By the way, just because it might happen in blue collar situations doesn't mean it's fucking warranted, and it's certainly not here.
Was in the car and then pull back.
Police interrogation gone sexual, literally, dude.
She was at 50th and Lincoln, swerved, and I was behind her, so I fell behind her. And then wait till
Were you ever beside her?
No.
This is an aspect of Liggins' story that has been convincingly discredited. In her account, the officer pulled up beside her driver's side window before pulling her over. The implication being Holtzclaw was checking to see if the driver fit the profile of the sort of person he would victimize and whether or not they were alone. However, Janie Liggins' Grand Dam had dark tinted windows that would make this impossible. Davis herself would later concede under sworn testimony that Holtzclaw would not have been able to see who was in the car even during the daytime.
Any cars passing by then?
Maybe a couple.
Could she have missed? Because if you're standing right here and you're a big guy,
right,
and she's sitting right here, if she goes like this, well, she's gonna be looking right at your penis.
Okay. But it was just talking.
Did you? What the fuck, dude? What the fuck, dude? Bro, these people should never Oh my god, they almost fucked up like a serial sexual assault case, dude. Bro, how the fuck? Yo, dude. Yo. This is crazy, bro.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever get a hard on while you were talking to her? Because she could have.
I don't think
these
I got.
pants don't fit the greatest,
right.
And if you get a hard on, I'm gonna be able to tell you got a hard on.
Right, and I'm pretty positive I didn't get a hard on.
Didn't get a hard on when you talked to her? Well, positive. Do you still just get boners because you get boners?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So, have you ever got a boner on a call?
I'm pretty sure I have.
Okay.
Pretty sure I have.
But it's not something you would remember. I mean, I would remember if I got a hard on talking to somebody.
And as a guy, it happens.
That's not something. I know.
So.
Well, you're not 50 yet either, so happens because of your age. Could she have missed? Could you have got a hard on and she saw it and
I don't think I got I don't think I got a hard on, but like I said, she was already nervous and crying and whatnot. I already told her, I'm like, hey, I want to go home. I'm done with my shift. I don't think you need to be worried about. If nothing's on board where I need to take you to jail, you're good. I'm not worried about no state driver's license.
Did your pants come unzipped, unbuttoned, anything while you were standing right there?
No.
Bro, this is just not even a good, like, this is objectively a horrifyingly bad interrogation. Like, you're not trying to catch him in anything. There's no, like, luring him under, you know, false pretenses or anything like that. Like, there's no trap here. It's just, like, it honestly comes across as a bunch of fucking cops just, like, I don't know how to describe it. Just, like, saying whatever fucking comes to their minds, dude.
One interesting talking point from Holtzclaw's defense team revolves around his police attire and the logistical feasibility of pulling his erect penis through his zipper hole without a struggle or having to pull his pants down. In addition to having a tight-fitting uniform over a muscular body, as well as a bulletproof vest and a heavy gun belt, Holtzclaw also sported compression underwear that took significantly more effort to pull down than normal boxers. Yet many of his accusers, including Liggins, stated that he pulled his penis through his zipper in not much more than an instant. Depending on how critical you want to be of this argument, you might allow that being on the receiving end of something as traumatic as a sexual assault would warp your sense of time and make everything seem to be happening quickly. In the case of Liggins, though, there's an additional hurdle. Holtzclaw was holding his flashlight at the time she says he pulled out his penis. So now, in addition to all of the other obstacles he needs to overcome, he needs to do so with only one hand free, yet still there's nothing in her recollection about any appearance of a struggle.
CSI is processing your car right now.
Right.
And when we stepped out, they found some pubic hairs right in here. Could they be yours?
No, that's not. I didn't pull my.
What the fuck? There were no pubic hairs in Holtzclaw's car. Davis admitted that Trosh only said this to try and get a reaction from him.
Penis out and do anything right there.
Did she?
No.
But do you think they could be?
No, it's not. No. Nothing of mine.
Your pubes couldn't be?
No.
Right there?
No.
A thing that kind of concerns me is...
Are they questioning a guy's ability to pull out his penis despite obstacles? Yeah, I mean, that's like... That's a legitimate line of defense there. If you go through the events and he's wearing like a fuckload of shit that's obstructing, like the only reason a defense team will shred through that 100%. Why wouldn't they fucking use that as a part of the defense?
Everything you're telling me is dead on to what she says. Everything. Except the sexual stuff.
Though this is asinine on its face, Detective Davis seemingly is not just saying this to increase the pressure on Holtzclaw. The fact that everything Holtzclaw is saying matches Liggins' account up until the accusations of sexual assault is something she's also referenced in media interviews as one of the reasons she was so sure of Holtzclaw's guilt. There are several glaring issues with her logic. 1. If anything, it's a sign he's being honest, because he isn't trying to rejig small details that might make him look better, that he told her he was going to follow her home, for instance. 2. Aside from the fact that sexual assault is obviously always going to be the main point of contention, guilty or innocent, if Liggins were lying about it, she would have no incentive to tell additional lies beyond that. Having an account that is otherwise consistent with the officers, and anything that is verifiable, will make her seem more credible, just as Davis is demonstrating. Holtzclaw's attorney, Scott Adams, pointed out in his closing argument that it's very difficult to reveal a lie that's been hidden amongst the truth. And 3, it's actually not true that their stories are absolutely dead on except for the sexual stuff. For instance, Holtzclaw has denied that either of their hands were ever on the top of his patrol car, and when it was later checked for prints, none were found. Along with the sane test and the tinted windows of Liggins' car, you might now be starting to notice a pattern. Whenever their stories diverge in a manner that is testable, Holtzclaw's account is the one most validated by available evidence.
Do you think you have a high sex drive?
Yeah.
Do you like oral sex? Normal?
I like it all.
You'll take it. Okay. Do you prefer vaginal? Would you rather get a blowjob or do it in the hoo-ha?
Do it. Me? You take it in the
No, you give it in the hoo-ha or get a blowjob?
Sex.
Sex? What about anal sex?
No, I don't like that.
Okay.
What the fuck is happening, dude? Sorry, I know people in the chat are like trying desperately to make it seem like they're trying to build a profile here. That's why they're asking these questions. Like, I partially get why, because a lot of the victims said like that he demanded oral sex and shit like that.
Okay.
I'll just step out.
I had some questions about some midgets, but I guess I'll leave that alone.
Have you ever had sex with a dude?
I've never had sex with a dude.
Have you ever wanted to?
I do not. I do not want to mess with a guy.
Carrie Hunt?
Carrie Hunt.
What's her number?
Can you go through my phone?
Yeah. You created some more work.
Wait, they're letting him use his phone?
Fixing to go. I just talked to Carrie.
Okay.
She said she was asleep when you got home and you did not try to have sex and you did not have sex.
I did try to have sex.
She said you didn't. And I asked her, could you have been asleep? And you had kind of, no. And she said no. You did not try to have sex.
As much as I don't want to involve her, I tried to have sex with her and she was asleep.
The entire "did you try to have sex with your girlfriend" portion of the interrogation is peculiar, as it's linked to whether or not Holtzclaw is guilty of any crime is tenuous at best. In fact, if you were going to try to draw any conclusion from it, you could argue his attempting to do so would be more of an indication of guilt, because if he
By the way, that's kind of what I fucking said too. Like where he was like, what does this have to do with her? What does this have to do with him? Like, I guess pre-cum on his pants, right? Remember when I asked you guys, like, why is this a part of the case? Like, when they first brought this up in the beginning of the interview, like in the middle part of the interview, I was like, why are they, did I miss something? Like, why are they, what would this do?
performed forcible oral sodomy on Liggins, but didn't ejaculate, he may well be aroused and in need of release by the time he got home. In fairness to Davis, though, she likely doesn't really think it's material, and is just attempting to increase the pressure on Holtzclaw by making him feel as if he's been caught in a lie.
I don't know what to say, I mean, because it just looks like I just caught you in a lie, and now I don't know what to believe.
Yet funnily enough, this point of contention made it all the way to trial. Kerry Hunt was the defence's only witness, and prosecutor Galen Giger pursued her in Holtzclaw's contradiction. If you're curious as to whether she reversed her story or maintained Holtzclaw was being untruthful, it was essentially a wash. She elaborated that while she could indeed not remember Holtzclaw waking her for sex, she was taking the sleeping medication ZQL at the time, which put her under to enough of an extent that if she was briefly woken up, she may not remember the encounter. Giger used this to imply Holtzclaw was either lying or prone to attempting to have sex with comatose women.
I don't know. I don't know if this shirt's going to be big enough for you. You're a big old boy. I was going to get a tie back, so I don't know where these came from.
The second go over the interrogation will double as the defense analysis for linchpin accuser Jenny Liggins.
By the way, that actually literally even takes away the suspicion from him like raping his girlfriend, because like if she was asleep and he tried to fuck her, that's one thing. But if he woke her up not realizing that like she was fucking ZQ'd out, thinking that she was awake and could like, you know, consent, and then couldn't finish the job or even do the job, then it's like, wait, was half their case he tries to wake up his girlfriend, hey, want to fuck? Oh, okay, later. I mean, it is actually fucking decent profiling to say that like a serial rapist was like literally raping his girlfriend. But how do you know his girlfriend is zonked out? They just said, oh, how do you not know your girlfriend is zonked out? I don't know. ZQL is weak as fuck. You don't know how much she fucking took. I mean, I don't know.
Liggins' claims. Just to reiterate, no direct evidence was ever found to corroborate her accusations, despite an exceptionally prompt SANE exam, and investigators going to great lengths to verify her story, quickly taking Holtzclaw's car and clothes, and closely examining them for incriminating material. Couple that again with the fact that in all areas where Holtzclaw's account contradicted Liggins's, the facts pointed toward his side of the story. And now consider this. A jury in a criminal trial is instructed that they can only deliver a guilty verdict if they believe the defendant's guilt to be beyond a reasonable doubt. To put a finer point on it, that means that while the case doesn't have to be so solid as to be categorically proven, more likely than not is not good enough for a conviction. Even if they believe in the accused's guilt somewhere in the range of a 70-30 split, still they should return a not guilty verdict. To bring back the guilty verdict, they must believe that no reasonable person could believe the accused is the one telling the truth. Daniel Holtzclaw was found guilty on all counts pertaining to Janie Liggins. After Terry Morris, there are 4 more accusers whose allegations rendered only not guilty verdicts. One will be explained in detail later on. The remaining 3 are Florine Mathis, Carla Rains, and Kayla Lyles. Holtzclaw had stopped and called in Mathis's car near a suspected crack house, several blocks from where she alleged the assault occurred. His GPS data also never had him making a stop at the location she insisted on. This, coupled with other demonstrably false claims and contradictory statements in her interviews and testimony, presumably caused the jury to find she was not credible as a victim. When Carla Rains was initially interviewed by Detective Gregory, she calmly denied being assaulted by a police officer 7 times.
Have you ever come to...
Shit, it's loud.
Any contact where an officer has been inappropriate?
No.
You ever had to expose yourself to them?
No. Mm-mm.
But you wasn't asked to, if you had any drugs on you, anything like that, and you had to
Expose myself.
You think he actually did these crimes? I think that most of them, yes. Some of them I can't say because it just doesn't. Like if a witness contradicts themselves, then I can't fucking say yes to it. But some of them undeniably yes. Most of them, it seems like undeniably yes.